Hello, internet friends. I go by the nickname Mimi, and I am a junior in high school trying to get through my chemistry class. People say that the best way to retain information and for you to know that you actually know a subject is to teach it. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be sharing different concepts with you as I learn them to help me study and retain a better grasp on the things that I'm learning in class. So for this first video, I'm going to be teaching you how to do conversions. Conversions are one of the first things chemistry courses teach you. They're actually very simple once you understand what it is that you're doing. So I took some of the problems from my book. Hopefully, if you are a confused individual, as I was not long ago, this will make sense to you and you will be able to go through them like a piece of cake and not be worried about it, because they can seem a little bit like, what? I don't understand. But they're, like I said, they're pretty simple once you get it. So one of the reasons that conversions are so important is because the US does not use the metric system, but universally science-y stuff is done in the metric system. So that is why we have to switch things over, because there's a story people tell how there was once a spaceship going up, a rocket going up into space, and it cost a ton of money, like millions and millions of dollars, and it ended up, I think, exploding and not getting to its destination, all because there were two groups of scientists working together to get this spacecraft in space, and one of the groups was not using the metric system and the other group just thought that they would be converting things, and they ended up using like our standard form, and it got all messed up and it went bye-bye. So it's really important to use the same thing as everybody else, so that they make sense, and it makes sense no matter where you are. Just universal measurement. Okay, so this is our first problem. It says, how many meters are there in 2.5 miles? 1 mile is equal to 1.609 kilometers, and 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. So to start off, when you look at one of these problems, there's a couple things that you want to point out in your mind. So the first thing, or I guess a first thing you should know, is that in the key, which it's not going to be labeled as key, but that's just how I see it as, in the key, the thing that is in parentheses, the measurements in parentheses, I mean, you need to use every single thing. I used to think that it was a key in the way that I could use it if I wanted it, but in reality, that right there, you need to include in your problem. So the first thing you want to do is pick apart exactly what the question is asking. So this question is saying, how many meters are there in 2.5 miles? So of course, miles and meters are not the same thing, which means we need to figure out this measurement in this measurement. So the first thing you may want to do is to circle meters, okay? Because that is what we're figuring out here, the meters. So the first thing you're going to want to do always is write out the measurement that you are trying to figure out in another form. So that would be 2.5 miles is what we are trying to find out in meters. All right, so here I have written down our first step, which is the measurement we are changing, like I said. And the way I have this written down on my piece of paper is in a method called the picket fence method. This is super easy, because from here, all you're doing is plugging in our measurements in the key in a way that you can cross cancel. So I'm gonna write that down and show you exactly what I mean. Here is the second measurement I have put in. So if you are familiar with basic math, you will know a concept called cross canceling, okay? And that is exactly what we're doing here. What do you notice about right here? Anything in particular? You will notice that two measurements say miles, and the third measurement says kilometers, okay? Because these have the same form of measurement, and we're starting with miles, but we don't want to end up with miles, we can cross cancel those and get rid of the miles, okay? Now, one thing I should mention is each place you put your measurement, except for the first space, you're going to be putting what it's equal to above it. So as you'll see, 1 mile is equal to this, 1 mile equal to this, okay? All right, so for the next one, because we still have this key right here, we are going to put this into this, and you will notice that this is kilometers and this is also kilometers. And if we remember what we just did here, when you have a measurement diagonal from one another on a different layer, so like the upper and the level, you can cancel them out. So that tells us that we are going to be putting 1 kilometer down here and 1,000 meters up here. As the measurement is up on the upper and down on the lower, diagonal from each other, and they have the same measurement, we can cross cancel those, okay? So we're gonna cross them out. Whoops. All right, so now the miles are crossed out, the kilometers are crossed out, and we are left with meters, which, if we go back up here, we see that our goal of this problem is to find out how many meters are in the given amount of miles. So from here, it's very simple, and all you're going to do is multiply 2.5 by 1.609 by 1,000, and then divide it by the common unit on the bottom, which is 1. So we're going to pull out a calculator because you don't need to do this in your head, and you'll get the answer. 5 times 1.609 times 1,000 equals, okay, and then divide by 1, which is going to give you the same thing, right? So there's the answer. And once again, once everything is canceled out and you have the unit that you want in the end answer, you are multiplying everything on the top by each other one at a time. So 2.5 times 1.609 times 1,000 divided by the common number on the bottom, which gives you an answer of 4,022.5. So in the end, your answer is going to look like this. Let me show you. Look like this. The 2.5 miles is equal to 4,022.5 meters. I'm probably not saying that right, but I hope you get the point. Essentially, an easy way to think of it is that each unit needs their buddy, and after they have a buddy, they are going to group together to have a party, which the party is multiplication. And then the division is after the party, everybody going home again. So it's basically the buddy system. You see miles, miles, those cancel out, kilometers, kilometers, those cancel out, and meters is left as the DJ. And there you go. That's how to do a pretty simple conversion from miles to meters.